Imagine for a moment that you post a beautiful photo of your morning coffee. Steam gently rising, sunlight streaming in. It feels innocent, right? But without even realizing it, that single image could inadvertently give away crucial details about your daily routine. Perhaps your favorite cafe, the time you typically start your day, or even where you work, if your office badge is visible, maybe. Or think about a simple like on a social media post. That seemingly trivial action, when accumulated with thousands of others, could be building this really detailed profile of your interests, political leanings, or, vulnerabilities that you never intended to create. It's truly startling to consider how these seemingly small, everyday online actions contribute to this vast, accessible, and highly interconnected pool of information about each of us. Welcome to The Deep Dive, where we explore the fascinating and sometimes profoundly unsettling world of open source intelligence, or OSINT. Now, for those of you who might be familiar, OSINT is fundamentally about collecting and analyzing information that's publicly available. But here's the crucial nuance we want to emphasize today. Open absolutely does not mean innocuous or harmless. In fact, it often means the exact opposite when wielded by the wrong hands. We've prepared for this deep dive by thoroughly dissecting some incredibly comprehensive guides and research for you today. Our sources include OSINT and Privacy, your digital defense guide, uh, uh, OSINT, Digital Threats and Self-Defense for Citizens, and also OSINT, Risks, Real-World Impacts, and Digital Privacy Protections. Our mission today is clear. We want to demystify OSINT, to sort of pull back the curtain on how this powerful tool operates both for incredibly good and vital purposes and for potentially malicious ones. But most importantly, our goal is to empower you by providing practical, actionable steps you can implement right now to protect your digital privacy. This isn't about fostering fear, it's about informed awareness, giving you the tools to become a truly proactive digital citizen in an increasingly interconnected world.
What's truly striking about OSINT is its inherent dual nature. It's a methodology that can be a formidable force for good, capable of exposing egregious human rights abuses or even war crimes on a global scale. Yet the very same techniques, the exact same publicly available information, can be scaled down and repurposed for targeted harassment, stalking, or even physical threats against individuals. The critical insight here is that your risk isn't typically about a single glaring vulnerability, like, say, a weak password. It's rather the aggregation, the meticulous piecing together of countless seemingly insignificant public data points about you. And what's particularly concerning is that these techniques are remarkably inexpensive, repeatable, and scalable. This means that virtually anyone with an internet connection can utilize them, from a dedicated citizen journalist uncovering truth to a malicious actor intent on causing harm. This accessibility creates what we sometimes call a symmetry of vulnerability, where the tools are out there for everyone. Hashtag what is OSINT and why does it matter to you?
So let's really dig into this. At its core, OSINT is simply about systematically gathering and analyzing information that's openly available to anyone. Think of it less as secret spying and more like connecting a vast network of dots that are already out there in public view, just waiting to be linked together. And when we talk about open sources, we're not just referring to your basic Google search, though that's certainly part of it. The scope of information considered open is incredibly broad and, frankly, often surprising. We're talking about the obvious places like your social media profiles on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or X, formerly Twitter. But it also extends to much less obvious areas. This includes information from publicly leaked databases, corporate filings that detail business ownership and addresses, public CCTV footage that might be streaming online somewhere, and even readily available satellite imagery. Think of the powerful insights gleaned from services like Google Earth. Beyond that, there are technical records like WHOIS and DNS records, which are public databases revealing website ownership and technical details. Cached internet pages that preserve old versions of websites, forum posts, and even the often overlooked metadata embedded within your photos and videos.
Right, that metadata can be surprisingly revealing.
Exactly. It can contain surprisingly precise information like GPS coordinates or the specific camera model used. What truly makes OSINT powerful isn't just individual sources, but the subtle patterns derived from many small public data points that, when combined, can paint an incredibly detailed picture.
Indeed, that's where the true power of OSINT lies. Not in any single piece of data alone. On its own, a photo you posted, a public record of your home address, or maybe a comment you left online might seem harmless. But what's profoundly impactful is the process of data fusion, combining many such small facts. It's like assembling a massive jigsaw puzzle, where each individual piece, when examined in isolation, reveals very little. You might see a fragment of a color or a single line. But once all those pieces are meticulously assembled, they reveal a surprisingly comprehensive, multidimensional profile of an individual. This integrated profile, far more than the sum of its parts, is what transforms fragmented public data into actionable intelligence for those who know how to connect those dots.
That's a crucial distinction. When you contrast OSINT with traditional intelligence gathering, which often demands significant classified access, high-tech surveillance equipment, and vast financial resources, OSINT is strikingly different. It's incredibly low cost and can be repeated as many times as an investigator wishes without incurring much additional expense beyond time and, well, internet access.
Yeah, pretty much.
This accessibility really democratizes the ability to gather intelligence in a way we've never quite seen before, putting powerful tools into the hands of a wide range of actors, for better or for worse.
To reiterate that core principle, OSINT itself is morally neutral. It's a methodology, a set of tools. The same systematic processes used for something as critical as geopolitical investigations, like exposing war crimes or tracking troop movements, can be scaled down directly to find or track private individuals with startling precision. This creates that fundamental symmetry of vulnerability we spoke about earlier. The severity of the threat you face isn't solely dependent on the sophistication of the tools being used, but rather on the target selected and the intent of the person wielding OSINT. The tools are out there for everyone, and their impact is entirely shaped by their application. This naturally leads us to an important question. How exactly is this public data collected? We can broadly categorize the methods into two main approaches: passive OSINT and active OSINT. Understanding this distinction is vital for comprehending your exposure. Passive OSINT involves gathering information without directly interacting with the target or any of their systems. This means the individual collecting the data leaves absolutely no digital traces, no breadcrumbs that would alert you to their activity. For you, as an ordinary citizen, this is often the primary and most insidious threat, because a comprehensive profile can be built about you completely without your knowledge. Examples of passive OSINT include searching for your email address in publicly available data breaches, where millions of compromised credentials are often posted. It also includes monitoring your public social media feeds for information, or reviewing historical DNS records, those public databases showing website ownership related to a site you might own or be associated with. All of this can be done completely invisibly to you. Active OSINT, on the other hand, necessitates some form of direct engagement with the target or their associated systems. This interaction often leaves a digital footprint, which could potentially alert the target to the investigation. For instance, sending a friend request on social media to gain access to private posts, or sending a direct message under some kind of pretense to extract information. That would be considered active OSINT. While active methods often yield more valuable and specific data because of the direct interaction, they also carry a higher risk of detection for the person doing the collecting.
Which makes them less common for just mass surveillance of everyday people.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
More targeted, perhaps. This distinction between passive and active OSINT highlights a truly crucial point regarding your digital defense. Your past data, the information that is already in the public domain or has been leaked, represents a persistent and often unchangeable vulnerability. It's out there, indexed, archived, and accessible, often for perpetuity. This reality demands a comprehensive defense strategy that is both proactive, focusing on securing your future data, and preventing new leaks, and actively addressing and attempting to mitigate your existing exposure where possible. Hashtag how bad is OSINT to normal citizens? Assessing your risk.
So, given this expansive landscape of open source information, what does this all actually mean for you, the everyday person navigating this digital world? The short answer is nuanced. It depends greatly on your digital footprint and public visibility, but the risk is absolutely real and highly variable for everyone. While most people might not face immediate, high-stakes national security threats, the evidence strongly suggests that OSINT is an ever-growing concern for virtually everyone in our increasingly connected society.
To help put this into a more practical perspective, let's break down the potential impacts into distinct risk tiers, moving from simply annoying to genuinely concerning.
For the vast majority of people, your experience with OSINT likely falls into the low-risk category, which primarily involves what we might call digital annoyances. This includes the creation of aggregated advertising profiles that track your online behavior to target you with ads, receiving tailored spam messages that feel a little too personal, and persistent tracking across various websites. While mostly financially or psychologically intrusive, making you feel a bit exposed or manipulated, maybe these threats typically don't pose direct physical harm. If you don't have a public figure presence, maintain a relatively small social media footprint, and practice basic digital hygiene, these kinds of risks are usually manageable.
Moving into the moderate risk category, this is where things become significantly more serious and demand greater vigilance. Here we encounter threats like credential stuffing, where attackers use passwords that have been leaked from one website to attempt to gain access to your accounts on entirely different platforms.
The password reuse problem.
Exactly. This is why unique passwords are so critical. This tier also encompasses scams that leverage your publicly available information for sophisticated social engineering attacks. Think convincing banking, tax, or even employer impersonations designed to trick you into revealing more sensitive data or transferring funds. Furthermore, targeted doxing campaigns, where personal information is exposed to the public, can lead to significant online harassment and reputational damage. These threats are frequently fueled by the massive data breaches we regularly hear about, such as the collection #1 data dump, that huge compilation of billions of leaked credentials. If you have a public-facing profession, even a moderate public online footprint, or crucially, if your email has appeared in any data breaches, then implementing a comprehensive checklist of privacy measures is highly recommended.
And this brings us to the high-risk category, which is where the implications of OSINT become truly chilling and potentially life-threatening. This tier affects individuals who are victims of targeted harassment, political activists, journalists working on sensitive topics, domestic violence survivors seeking to remain hidden, or even people mistakenly identified in viral posts. For these individuals, the threats can quickly escalate beyond online annoyance to severe stalking, physical danger, and even political targeting. To give you a stark real-world example, an Australian family once received death threats and had their home address published online after being mistakenly doxxed. They had absolutely no connection to the viral video that caused the uproar, yet they faced terrifying real-world consequences due to a simple case of mistaken identity.
Horrifying.
It powerfully illustrates how quickly an online error, amplified by OSINT, can translate into terrifying and immediate physical threats.
For individuals in this high-risk category, standard digital hygiene is simply insufficient. They require advanced operational security, or OPSE, which involves a much more stringent set of practices. This can include using entirely separate devices for sensitive activities, adopting pseudonyms online to compartmentalize their identity, and often, critically, seeking specialist help from digital security professionals or legal experts to manage and mitigate their unique and severe risks. This brings us to a fundamental question. Why are ordinary people so susceptible to these OSINT threats in the first place? It really boils down to a combination of common behaviors and the sheer volume of accessible data.
It's often because we simply love to share. Our social media posts, photos, often automatically embedded with location data, detailed profile descriptions, every piece of information we voluntarily put online contributes to our ever-growing digital footprint. We often don't stop to think about how these individual pieces of information, when taken alone, seem innocuous, but how powerful they become when combined.
Exactly. Another major contributing factor is our widespread credential habits. The unfortunate reality is that many people reuse passwords across multiple websites, or they opt for weak, easily guessable passwords. This means that when large data breaches occur, like that collection #1 dump or other recent corporate breaches exposing millions of credentials, your leaked email addresses and passwords don't just compromise one account, they become a gateway, enabling further OSINT discovery and potential account takeover across many different services where you might have reused that same password.
And let's not overlook the impact of public datasets. Many public records, such as company filings that list directors, property records showing homeownership, or professional directories, are legally searchable and linkable to individuals. Often, this information is available without your direct input or even your consent, further building out a robust public profile that can be accessed and used by OSINT practitioners. Now, let's shift gears a bit and explore another side of OSINT, one that truly illustrates its immense power and global impact. On a grander scale, OSINT has been an absolute game changer in geopolitics, fundamentally altering how we understand, verify, and respond to international events and crises. It's really something to consider.
A powerful example that really cemented OSINT's legitimacy for digital investigation is the meticulous work done by the journalism group Bellingcat. They used only open sources, nothing classified, to investigate the 2014 downing of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 MH17. Their investigation was a landmark achievement in open-source journalism. Bellingcat employed this multifaceted methodology, entirely reliant on publicly available information. They analyzed hundreds of videos uploaded to social media platforms like YouTube and Facebook, scoured satellite images from platforms like Google Earth, and sifted through vast amounts of social media content posts, photos, comments shared by individuals in eastern Ukraine. By painstakingly piecing together the movements of a Buck missile launcher convoy captured and shared by locals, Bellingcat's team was able to provide compelling evidence. Their findings, detailed in a comprehensive investigative report published back in November 2014, precisely traced the convoy's route and activities. They identified the missile launcher, its distinctive markings, and its journey from Russia into eastern Ukraine. Their conclusion pointed directly to the missile, originating from the 53rd Anti-Aircraft Rocket Brigade, based in Kursk, Russia.
And this was all from public data.
All from public data. It wasn't mere speculation, it was verifiable, open-source evidence leading to a concrete conclusion. And this was later officially corroborated by the Dutch-led International Joint Investigation Team, which definitively concluded that the missile was indeed from that Russian brigade. This case was a watershed moment, demonstrating OSINT's profound capability to expose truth on a global stage.
And if we look to the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian war, which began with the full-scale invasion in 2022, this conflict has been a truly seminal moment for OSINT. It has proven absolutely vital, not only in countering widespread disinformation campaigns, but also in gathering critical intelligence in an incredibly complex and fluid information landscape. We even saw incredibly early warning signs thanks to OSINT. Long before official confirmations, OSINT researchers, for instance, used readily available Google Maps data. They tracked an unusually large and sustained traffic jam on a Russian road leading directly to the Ukrainian border.
Right, that traffic jam map.
Yeah. This anomaly provided a crucial early indication of the impending invasion, demonstrating how seemingly mundane public data can reveal strategic intentions.
This conflict has showcased a remarkable array of OSINT techniques deployed with unprecedented effectiveness, often by volunteer groups and citizen journalists. For instance, groups like Bellingcat and the Eyes on Russia project have made extensive use of satellite imagery analysis. They've diligently documented large-scale force movements, tracked the destruction of infrastructure, and gathered compelling evidence of potential war crimes from afar, like the atrocities committed during the Bucha massacre. This imagery, often freely available, allows for independent verification of events on the ground. Geolocation and chronolocation have been absolutely invaluable in combating misinformation. Investigators can verify user-generated content like photos or videos shared by soldiers or civilians by cross-referencing subtle visual clues within the media.
Like shadows or landmarks.
Exactly. Shadows, unique landmarks, specific architectural details, cross-reference with satellite imagery. They can also analyze metadata, like GPS coordinates and timestamps, embedded in digital media. This allows them to determine precisely where and when a photo or video was taken, providing critical context and debunking false narratives. Facial recognition technology has also been utilized. OSINT groups have deployed facial recognition apps to identify potential war crime perpetrators. By cross-referencing faces visible in open-source videos and images with public social media profiles or other databases, they can sometimes identify individuals involved in illegal activities. And then there's economic intelligence. OSINT analysts have gained crucial insights into global economic shifts and sanctions evasion by tracking vessel movements via public transponders, analyzing publicly available cargo manifests, and monitoring port activity. A notable example is tankertrackers.com, which has issued detailed reports documenting a Russian shadow fleet of oil tankers used to circumvent international oil sanctions simply by tracking their movements in public maritime databases.
It's genuinely amazing how AI-enhanced OSINT has played a significant role in countering disinformation as well. These advanced tools have effectively debunked Russian claims by rapidly processing vast amounts of information, tracing propaganda origins back to specific state-sponsored networks, and identifying sophisticated deepfake videos. This crucial work in verifying information and exposing falsehoods has helped to preserve public morale and ensured the continued flow of aid to Ukraine, clearly illustrating the real-world, high-stakes impact of verified information in a complex conflict.
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, these geopolitical examples powerfully demonstrate OSINT's profound capacity to hold even the most powerful actors accountable, shining a much-needed light on events that might otherwise remain obscured or subject to disinformation. However, and this is the crucial link, it's vital to remember that the very same methods, the same techniques, and the exact same publicly available sources that can expose these large-scale injustices can also, with frightening ease, be scaled down to trace private individuals, creating that inescapable symmetry of vulnerability we discussed earlier. The power is neutral. Its application defines its morality.
Okay, let's bring this powerful lens of OSINT closer to home now. and explore its more personal and often darker implications. The very powerful methods we just discussed for geopolitical investigations, the ones capable of exposing war crimes and uncovering state secrets, can absolutely be turned against you, the individual citizen. The central threat here is, again, the aggregation, the systematic piecing together of what seem like innocuous data points to create an incredibly detailed, exploitable profile of your life. This isn't just theory, it has very real, very human consequences.
This is truly where OSINT gets particularly ugly and directly threatening for individuals. Doxing is the malicious practice of compiling a comprehensive dossier of someone's personal information. We're talking home address, phone numbers, family details, names of spouses and children, professional relationships, even past employers, and then deliberately publishing it online, often with the intent to intimidate, harass, coerce, or incite violence against them. The escalation from what starts as simple online harassment can be terrifyingly rapid and severe. It can begin with relatively mundane annoyances like signing someone up for unwanted magazine subscriptions or maybe pizza deliveries to their home address.
Annoying, but maybe not dangerous initially.
Right. But it can quickly spiral into severe real-world stalking, identity theft, or even the extremely dangerous phenomenon of swatting. This is where a false report, often of a serious crime like a hostage situation, is made to emergency services, prompting a heavily armed police SWAT team to descend on an unsuspecting victim's home.
And swatting is absolutely no laughing matter. In 2019, Tyler Barris was sentenced to a lengthy 20 years in prison after a swatting call he orchestrated resulted in the fatal police shooting of an entirely uninvolved individual in Wichita, Kansas. This person had nothing to do with Barris's online dispute.
Just tragic.
It powerfully demonstrates the terrifying progression of digital harassment and doxing into tangible, and in this case, tragically fatal physical threats. It's a stark reminder of the real-world stakes.
Another stark and devastating example of personal OSINT's impact comes from the 2015 Ashley Madison breach. Hackers successfully accessed and then publicly released data from 37 million users of that infidelity website. Once this raw data was public, OSINT practitioners and malicious actors quickly went to work using the information to actively dox users, exposing their extramarital affairs to spouses, employers, and the public. This led to widespread blackmail, tragically contributed to multiple suicides, and fueled countless divorces. This incident profoundly highlights how massive public data leaks, when combined with OSINT techniques, can inflict profound personal ruin and psychological trauma on a grand scale.
We've also observed numerous social media doxing incidents where individuals have faced stalking or serious real-world threats simply after oversharing their location or daily activities. Think of cases where individuals, maybe attempting to expose poachers on Instagram, inadvertently revealed enough personal information about themselves that it backfired into threats against the investigators. More recently, discussions highlight the pervasive risk of large-scale data leaks, such as a hypothetical 2025 Chinese school records breach mentioned in our sources, which could expose millions of students' personal details. This kind of widespread data exposure creates fertile ground for extensive doxing and identity theft risks for ordinary people on a massive scale.
Beyond direct doxing, OSINT-powered social engineering is a psychological manipulation tactic that becomes incredibly effective when armed with personal data. Attackers are now moving far beyond generic, mass phishing attempts. Instead, they craft highly personalized and convincing scams by leveraging trust and emotion, all thanks to the specific details gathered through OSINT. Here's precisely how it often works. Attackers meticulously use OSINT to gather deeply personal and professional details about you. They might comb through your social media for family names, hobbies, recent life events. They might examine company websites or LinkedIn for details about your colleagues, projects, or professional aspirations. This rich tapestry of information allows them to create highly targeted, believable, and emotionally resonant scenarios.
So they know exactly which buttons to push.
Exactly. They might know your boss is on vacation and send an email impersonating them, asking for an urgent wire transfer, or maybe they know you just bought a new car and send a very convincing warranty renewal scam.
A prime and unfortunately common example of this is spear phishing. Attackers impersonate trusted individuals, perhaps your CEO, a close colleague, or a vendor you regularly work with, using information they've gleaned from your online presence. They then send seemingly legitimate emails that contain malicious links or urgent requests for financial transactions. Because the email looks so convincing, so personalized to your situation, you're far more likely to fall for it than a generic spam email. We even saw a rather harmless but incredibly telling incident where the Dutch Minister of Defense once shared a picture on X, back when it was Twitter, that inadvertently displayed a Zoom meeting code to a confidential conference call.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a quick-witted journalist was able to log right into the call. While no state secrets were revealed in that particular instance, it powerfully highlights how simple oversharing, even by high-ranking officials, can compromise confidentiality and open doors that should absolutely remain closed.
OSINT techniques are also widely used for credential harvesting. Cybercriminals relentlessly monitor vast troves of leaked credentials from data breaches. They then use OSINT to link exposed email addresses and passwords to your corporate accounts or other high-value online services, enabling what's known as credential stuffing attacks. They simply stuff those leaked credentials into login forms across hundreds of sites, hoping you've reused your passwords. If you have, they gain access. What's truly critical here is that your lack of awareness about what information is public, coupled with a mindset of implicit trust in online interactions, are often the most significant vulnerabilities an attacker can exploit.
And unfortunately, the insidious reach of OSINT extends directly into identity theft and financial fraud. OSINT provides the raw foundational data for these attacks, including highly sensitive information like social security numbers, home addresses, dates of birth, and even clues that can lead to financial account details. The consequences of identity theft can be significant and long-lasting. The IRS, for instance, provides examples where individuals receive an unexpected Form W-2 from an employer they've never worked for, or find mysterious tax returns filed in their name. These are clear, alarming signs of identity theft.
To defend against these types of attacks, authorities widely recommend taking proactive steps. These include freezing your credit reports with all 3 major credit bureaus, regularly monitoring your financial accounts for any unusual or unauthorized activity, and, if available in your region, signing up for an identity protection PIN to add an extra layer of security for tax filings.
Here's where it truly becomes clear just how extensive your vulnerability can be. Your biggest threat isn't usually a single point of failure. It's a vast, interconnected ecosystem of public data. A skilled OSINT practitioner can seamlessly aggregate information from dozens, even hundreds, of disparate sources to create an incredibly detailed and exploitable profile of you that you might not even know exists. It's like a complex mosaic being built piece by tiny piece, often entirely without your awareness.
Let's dive into precisely where all this information comes from, because the full extent of a person's digital footprint can be truly shocking to realize. This is what we referred to as the OSINT goldmine. A multitude of sources that, when combined, become incredibly potent. The most obvious and frequently exploited source, of course, is social media. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X are incredibly fertile ground for information gathering. They offer not just your user profile details, your connections and friend lists, but also geotagged posts, your stated personal interests, past travel plans, and a complete professional history. Even a seemingly simple post about a new job, a picture of your pet, or a check-in at a local restaurant can be a crucial piece of a larger puzzle for a malicious actor.
Like that coffee shop selfie you mentioned.
Exactly. Posted daily can reveal your precise routines, potentially aiding in a burglary. Or old vacation photos can clearly signal to someone that your home is currently empty and ripe for intrusion.
Then there are public records, a category often overlooked but incredibly persistent and revealing. These are legally available to anyone who seeks them and represent a discreet and cost-effective way to gather intimate information. This includes publicly accessible census data, court filings detailing legal disputes, property records showing homeownership and value, voter registration lists, and professional business registries. While these records can be used legitimately to verify professional claims, maliciously they can be used to pinpoint your exact home address, reveal family details, or even uncover past legal troubles, often without requiring any direct interaction or input from you.
What's particularly concerning, and often invisible to the average person, is the pervasive role of data brokers. These companies specialize in legally harvesting, aggregating, and then selling your personal information to third parties. They pull data from an astonishing array of sources: public records, your web browsing histories, often collected via tracking cookies, consumable purchase histories, social media activity, and much, much more. The existence and extensive reach of these companies represent a significant, largely unseen threat to your privacy. They meticulously create and sell lists of highly sensitive information, such as individuals with specific medical conditions, those deemed financially vulnerable, or even lists of people with certain political leanings. So it's an actual industry built on our data, a massive industry. This underscores that the problem of OSINT is far larger than just your personal online behavior. It's an entire ecosystem built around commodifying your most intimate data.
And let's not forget the silently accumulating data from your IoT devices and smart technology. These connected devices, which are now ubiquitous in our lives, from your fitness trackers and smart home assistants like Alexa or Google Home to modern cars packed with sensors, are a quiet but constant stream of data. For example, a major fitness app scandal once inadvertently revealed the precise locations and even patrol routes of U.S. military personnel simply from the aggregated usage data of their fitness devices.
Wow, that's a huge security failure.
Huge. Smart meters, too, can expose privacy risks by revealing highly detailed patterns of energy usage in your home, which could easily indicate when someone is home or away. The profound implication here is that your digital footprint now extends far beyond the internet, reaching directly into your physical world, creating new and often difficult to anticipate attack vectors.
If we connect all these disparate points to the bigger picture, the true and most significant risk lies in how seamlessly and comprehensively these different sources of data can be combined. This process of aggregation allows for the formation of an incredibly detailed, dynamic, and often surprisingly accurate living profile of your life. This transformation of seemingly harmless individual data points into actionable intelligence is precisely what malicious actors leverage to their advantage.
So, now that we understand the vast array of data sources, how do malicious actors actually put all this information together? What are the specific techniques and the playbook they use to build these exploitable profiles and launch attacks against individuals? Let's dig into the attacker's methodology.
We've identified several key techniques that form the core of an OSINT attack. First, there's aggregation, which is the fundamental process we've been discussing. This involves systematically linking multiple public facts about you. For example, your date of birth, the suburb you live in, and your current workplace, to confirm your identity, build a more complete picture, or verify details for social engineering. Next up is image reverse search. Tools like TinyEye or Google Images allow attackers to upload a photo of you and find every other place that image appears online. This can link different profiles you might have, reveal where an image was originally posted, or even uncover older, forgotten versions of yourself online. Then there's metadata extraction. As we touched on, photos and videos often contain hidden XIF data. This metadata can include surprisingly precise information, such as GPS coordinates that pinpoint where the photo was taken, the exact time of day it was captured, and even details about the camera model used.
The hidden data in photos. Scary stuff.
It can be, yeah. It gives away location, routines, patterns of movement. WHOIS and DNS lookups are technical but powerful. These are public databases that allow attackers to trace domain registrants, meaning who owns a particular website, or investigate the origins of email addresses. This can often reveal personal contact information, company details, or connections you might not want public. Social graphing involves building detailed maps of your associates and friends. Attackers do this by analyzing public friend lists, comments you've made on posts, photos you're tagged in, and even the likes and reactions you leave. This helps them understand your entire social network and potentially identify family members or close associates who could then be targeted as an entry point to you through social engineering. Credential stuffing is a pervasive and incredibly dangerous technique. Attackers take massive lists of linked credentials, often from huge data dumps like collection #1, and it automatically tests these stolen combinations across many different websites and services, hoping you've reused your passwords.
And if you have,
Yeah. Bingo. They gain access. They also heavily leverage public databases beyond just social media. This means accessing legally available records like property records, vehicle registries, professional licensing registries, or court records. This information, while public, can be highly revealing. And as we detailed earlier, data broker crawling is a significant attack vector. Attackers can purchase or aggregate detailed profiles of individuals from people data brokers. Many of these brokers, surprisingly, offer free or paid opt-outs, though finding and navigating these procedures can be really tedious. Finally, there's geolocation via visual clues. This is a more skilled technique. It involves using subtle details within images or videos like street signs, unique terrain features, specific architectural styles, or even the angle and length of shadows to precisely estimate the time and location where the media was captured.
like the Bellingcat investigators do. Exactly. Invaluable for verifying content or tracking movements. What's truly fascinating and profoundly concerning here is that many of these techniques, particularly those we call passive OSINT, involve data gathering without any direct interaction with you. This means a malicious actor can build an incredibly comprehensive, multi-dimensional profile of you without you ever knowing you are being investigated or surveilled. This invisible nature of data gathering is a core privacy concern and makes defending against it particularly challenging, as you often don't know you're a target until it's potentially too late.
Okay, so we've established the vastness of the digital footprint and the techniques used to exploit it. But what does all of this mean for you personally? How can you genuinely gauge your own level of risk in this OSINT-infused world? This is precisely where the critical practice of threat modeling comes in. It's about asking yourself a series of insightful questions to understand your unique exposure.
Right. You need to engage in a structured, personal risk assessment. This isn't about paranoia. It's about practical self-awareness. Start by honestly asking yourself these 4 key questions. 1. Who would want to target me? Think broadly about potential adversaries. Could it be a disgruntled former colleague, a stalker, a fraudster, a competitor, an employer conducting background checks, maybe even an activist group if you hold certain public views? Understanding the potential actor helps you understand their motivation and, critically, their resources. 2. What do they want from me? Are they after your contact info for spam, your money for financial fraud, trying to damage your reputation through doxing, or even find your physical location for more sinister purposes? Knowing the objective helps you prioritize your defenses. 3. What public data exists about me? This requires a deliberate and ongoing audit. Comb through your social media profiles, search for photos you've posted or been tagged in, check if your email or passwords have appeared in data breaches on sites like Has I Been Pwned. Consider any corporate filings, property records, or professional directories where your name might appear.
Be ruthlessly honest about your digital exhaust. And 4, what access do I have to mitigate this? Identify what actions are within your direct control. For instance, you have direct control over the privacy settings on your social media accounts, and you can contact data brokers to request removal of your information. This helps you focus your efforts where you can make an immediate impact.
And connecting this framework back to our earlier discussion on risk levels, these questions help you accurately position yourself and tailor your defense strategy. If your assessment places you in the low-risk category, meaning you have no public figure activity, your profession doesn't inherently attract scrutiny, and you maintain a relatively small social footprint, then implementing the standard digital hygiene steps we're about to cover will likely be sufficient for you. For moderate risk individuals, those with a public-facing profession, an active online presence, or even a moderate public footprint, performing a full comprehensive checklist of privacy actions is not just recommended, it's absolutely essential.
And if your self-assessment suggests you fall into the high-risk category, this includes journalists reporting on sensitive topics, political activists, survivors of domestic violence seeking to maintain anonymity, or politically exposed persons, then you absolutely need to consider Advanced Operational Security, OPSES. This means potentially using entirely separate, disconnected devices for sensitive activities, employing pseudonyms for all public-facing interactions, and crucially, seeking specialist help from digital protection services or legal experts who can guide you through more complex mitigation strategies. If we connect this to the bigger picture, effective defense against OSINT is not a one-time set-and-forget activity. It requires a multi-layered, persistent, and adaptive approach. It's an ongoing process that combines fundamental behavioral changes like mindful sharing with platform-specific privacy settings and robust technical safeguards. Ultimately, it's about cultivating a proactive mindset, understanding that your digital security is a journey, not a destination.
Okay, now let's get into the most critical part of our deep dive. Immediate, actionable steps you can take right now. The most effective defense against the pervasive threats of OSINT is to become a proactive digital citizen, treating your personal information as a valuable asset that requires diligent protection. What we're giving you now is a prioritized, actionable checklist. I encourage you to run through these steps at your earliest convenience. Many are quick wins, and tackling them in order often yields the highest return on your security investment.
Let's begin with A, accounts and credentials. This category, without a doubt, gives you the biggest bang for your buck in terms of security improvement for your effort. 1. Expert Speaker. Unique passwords plus password manager. This is absolutely foundational. You must use a robust password manager like 1Password or Bitwarden to generate and securely store unique, strong passphrases, ideally 16 characters or more, for every single one of your online accounts. Expert Speaker. Shorter, simpler passwords can be brute forced surprisingly quickly. This single step effectively prevents credential stuffing. Your password manager should be the only place you know your passwords. 2. Host Speaker. Check breaches. Okay, next step. Go to Have I Been Pawned, that's HIBP, and enter your primary email address or addresses. This free service tells you if any of your accounts have been exposed in a data breach. Subscribe to their notifications too. Host Speaker. If any of your accounts have been exposed, you need to change those specific passwords and enable multi-factor authentication immediately. Don't delay on this. 3. Expert Speaker. Enable multi-factor authentication, MFA. Absolutely. Wherever possible, enable MFA. We strongly recommend using an authenticator app, which generates time-based one-time passwords, TOTP, like Google Authenticator, Authy, or even built-in browser managers. Expert Speaker. Hardware keys like a YubiKey offer even higher security. These are vastly superior to relying on SMS text messages for MFA because SMS can be vulnerable to SIM swapping attacks. MFA prevents most account takeovers even if your password gets stolen. Host Speaker. Let me give you a quick practical walkthrough on how to enable TOTP MFA as it's so incredibly important. First, install a reputable authenticator app on your smartphone or see if your browser's password manager has a built-in function. Host Speaker. Then go to your account security settings on the website or app you want to protect. Look for an option like Setup Authenticator App or TOTP. Host Speaker. The site will typically show you a QR code. Scan that QR code with your authenticator app. It will generate a 6-digit code. Host Speaker. Enter that code back into the website to verify. And crucially, save any provided backup codes offline in a secure physical location, like a safe. These are your lifeline if you lose your phone. 4. Host Speaker. Remove unused accounts. Good point. Take the time to identify and close any old accounts you no longer use. Services like JustDelete.me can help you find direct links for account removal across various platforms, making it a bit easier. Host Speaker. Every dormant account is a potential attack surface, right? A forgotten password that could be breached, or a profile scraped for details. Less data out there means less to be exploited. Next, we shift our focus to B, social media and sharing, as your online persona is often the very first place attackers look when trying to build a profile. 1. Expert Speaker. Audit privacy settings. Go through each of your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, LinkedIn, with a fine-tooth comb. Set your profiles to private wherever possible. Expert Speaker. Be meticulous in limiting who can see your personal details, posts, interactions. Crucially, prevent search engines outside the platform, like Google, from linking to your profile. This significantly reduces your public footprint. 2. Host Speaker. Remove personal fields. Simple but effective. Delete your full date of birth, your hometown, your phone number, and personal email address from any publicly visible sections of your profiles. That stuff is gold for attackers. 3. Expert Speaker. Review old posts. Dedicate some time to scroll back through your old posts and photos. Delete or archive anything that might inadvertently reveal location, routines, or personal patterns, like those vacation pics posted in real time, signaling an empty home. 4. Host Speaker. Disable geotagging. Yeah, turn off automatic location tags in your phone's camera settings and social apps. For existing images, many photo editing apps or even your phone's built-in tools let you strip that EXIF data, the GPS coordinates. Host Speaker. For a quick practical guide on stripping EXIF, on a Mac, open the image in Preview, go to Tools, then Show Inspector, click the GPS tab and remove location. Host Speaker. On Windows, right-click the Image Properties Details tab, then remove properties and personal information. Host Speaker. Mobile. Lots of editors do it. Or check your camera roll options. Or, pro tip, just take a screenshot of the photo and share the screenshot that usually strips the EXIF data. 5. Expert Speaker. Caution with friend-follower lists. Be aware that a public friend list can be used to map your network. Consider hiding these lists if the platform allows. 6. Host Speaker. Mindful sharing principle. Beyond settings, just cultivate awareness. Never post full name, DOB, home address, phone, financial details, real-time travel plans, hateful comments, confidential work stuff, or private conversations. If in doubt, don't post it. Moving on to C photos, metadata, and devices. Your devices are literal data gold mines if not secured. 1. Expert Speaker. Strip XIF from images. Make it a habit. Strip XIF before uploading or change camera settings to not record location. 2. Host Speaker. Review smartphone app permissions. Audit which apps can access GPS, microphone, contacts, remove unnecessary permissions. Does that calculator really need your location? Probably not. 3. Expert Speaker. Encrypt your devices. Enable full disk encryption, 5-volt on macOS, BitLocker on Windows. Android OS usually encrypt by default if you have a passcode. This protects data if the device is lost or stolen. 4. Host Speaker. Auto updates. Keep your OS and apps updated. Updates often contain security patches. Set them to auto-update. Next, D. Email and communication hygiene. Your inbox is a common attack vector. 1. Expert Speaker. Separate emails. Use one email for banking, financial stuff, and a separate one for social media marketing. If the secondary one gets breached, your critical accounts are safer. 2. Host Speaker. Beware phishing. Be skeptical. Never click links in unsolicited messages. Verify via official sites by typing the URL yourself. 3. Expert Speaker. Encrypted messaging. Prefer Signal or similar end-to-end encrypted apps for sensitive conversations.
Now for E, data brokers and public records. This is tedious, I know, but it's crucial. 1. Host speaker. Search data brokers. Google your name plus phone address plus pupil search. Find those broker sites, then follow their opt-out procedures. They vary, it's a pain, but worth doing. 2. Expert speaker, limiting public records. In some places, you can request suppression of addresses or use a P.O. box for public-facing stuff. Opt-outs often require manual removal and follow-up. It's an ongoing battle. Finally, F, financial and identity protections. Proactive monitoring is key. 1. Host speaker, monitor credit. Consider fraud alerts or credit freeze if concerned about identity theft. 2. Expert speaker. Watch suspicious charges. Set alerts with your bank for unusual activity. Early detection is vital. 3. Host speaker. Use payment cards. Virtual card numbers or PayPal for online shopping can add a layer of separation.
And lastly, for G higher-risk individuals, the measures get more serious. 1. Expert speaker. Pseudonyms and separate devices. For sensitive activity, use pseudonyms and dedicated burner devices not linked to your real identity. 2. Expert speaker. Professional assistance. If facing severe threats, consider digital protection services or legal help. 3. Expert speaker. Change routines. Avoid posting real-time travel. Be mindful of predictable patterns. 3. Expert speaker. #, dealing with an active doxing harassment incident.
So what happens if, despite your best efforts, you do become a target of doxing or harassment? This raises an incredibly important question. What do you do immediately when you realize you're under attack?
If you find yourself in that unfortunate situation, you need an emergency playbook. Your immediate actions can significantly impact the outcome. 1. Expert speaker. Document everything. Paramount. As soon as you discover it, take meticulous screenshots of everything the doxing posts, harassing messages, comments, profiles, record URLs, timestamps, platforms. More evidence is better. 2. Expert speaker. Preserve evidence. Don't just rely on online copies. Save everything offline hard drive, USB, and insecure cloud backups. Protects against removal before action. 3. Expert speaker. Contact platform. Immediately use the platform's abuse report flows. State clearly you're being doxed, harassed, violating their terms. Provide your evidence. 4. Expert speaker. Alert law enforcement. If threats are credible, involve physical danger, or escalate to stalking, contact local police immediately. Provide all evidence. An official report is crucial. 5. Expert speaker. Contact employer hosts. If it affects work, reputation, or involves your employer or other hosts, like a website host, inform them. They might offer support or secure their end. 6. Expert speaker. Consider legal advice. For sustained or dangerous campaigns, especially if early response is slow, consider legal advice from specialists in digital harassment or privacy law.
That Canberra family case we mentioned earlier, where a viral misidentification rapidly escalated into death threats, it's a potent reminder of how essential swift platform and law enforcement intervention can become. It underscores the urgency of having this plan ready. #, realistic limits and trade-offs of privacy. Okay, let's unpack a crucial aspect that needs to be acknowledged. While all these defensive steps are incredibly vital and empowering, achieving total, absolute privacy in our hyper-connected world requires significant, continuous effort. For most people, the realistic goal is probably finding a middle ground, right? A balance between convenience and the security they genuinely need.
It's important to understand the hard truth. You can't truly delete everything from the internet. Once data is out there shared by you, breached public records, it can be cached, archived, copied indefinitely. The internet has a long memory. So the goal isn't necessarily complete digital invisibility, which is often impossible. It's about significantly reducing your actionable footprint, minimizing data that can be easily aggregated, linked, and exploited.
And the tedium of dealing with data brokers, as we mentioned, really cannot be overstated. Opt-outs are frequently manual, time-consuming, and need persistent follow-up. You remove data, it reappears.
It's a constant task, not a one-and-done thing. It can be psychologically draining, too.
So we've come a long way in understanding OSINT, but what does all of this mean for the future, and why is this deep dive so incredibly timely and relevant right now? The digital landscape is continuously shifting.
The landscape is indeed evolving rapidly, and several trends highlight why vigilance is more critical than ever. First, massive data breaches continue to occur with alarming regularity. Corporate breaches, government leaks, aggregated dumps like collection #1 continuously leak vast amounts of personal data. Malicious actors then leverage OSINT to combine this new data with existing open sources, creating incredibly rich profiles, fueling credential abuse, identity theft, and social engineering.
Adding to that, we're seeing the profound democratization of OSINT tools. Techniques for geolocation, reverse image searching, data aggregation are becoming increasingly user-friendly and accessible to virtually anyone. Good for investigative journalism, sure, but it also significantly lowers the barrier for abusive actors.
Absolutely. A double-edged sword. We also increasingly face sophisticated hybrid threats from state-level actors and organized groups. These operations now actively combine meticulous OSINT research with sophisticated disinformation campaigns. Knowing how open data can be weaponized is crucial for discerning truth from fiction. The rigorous methods championed by groups like Bellingcat are more essential than ever in countering these false narratives.
And looking ahead, AI integration is a significant future trend we simply cannot ignore. The rapid advancements in AI, particularly its ability to process, correlate, and find patterns in vast data at unprecedented speed, may dramatically heighten these OSINT threats,
AI could make aggregation almost instantaneous, find connections humans miss.
which underscores the urgent need for policy reforms and even greater individual vigilance. Hashtag outro. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, exploring the depths of open source intelligence. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways to help solidify your understanding. Remember, OSINT is powerful, a double-edged sword. It can expose war crimes, but also facilitate personal attacks. Your digital footprint is vast: social media, public records, data brokers, smart devices, all building a profile. And perhaps most importantly, practical defense means a multi-layered, proactive approach. Mindful sharing, strong privacy settings, and robust technical safeguards like MFA and password managers are absolutely essential.
This knowledge is most valuable when it's truly understood and applied. Your personal security in the digital realm is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process that demands persistent vigilance. Take immediate control of your digital footprint, regularly monitor for breaches, and consciously adjust your online habits to minimize your exposure. The journey starts with understanding how your data exists publicly, and then making a conscious effort to minimize its availability. Become that proactive digital citizen. The power is in your hands.
Here's something for you to mull over as you go about your day. In a world where every like, every geotagged photo, even your smart home device, contributes to a potential profile of who you are, how do you personally define the new shifting boundaries between your public and private self? And beyond individual responsibility, what role and responsibility do platforms and indeed our governments have in protecting those increasingly blurred lines? What stands out to you from today's deep dive that you'll implement first to safeguard your digital life? Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We truly hope this deep dive has given you the clarity and the practical tools to become a more informed, empowered, and secure digital citizen.